Hey guys, how's it going? I'm here with Jordan Kemper today. Welcome to our first episode of Hustle Nation Live. I'm really proud to have Jordan here today. My name's Alan Fu, for some of you guys who don't know me. I'm the CEO and founder of Hustle Nation. Today I'm here with my good friend Jordan Kemper. We're going to be talking a little bit about his book, The Red Key Revolution. I picked this book up as soon as he launched it. I'm really excited because when I first started my journey into entrepreneurship, Jordan was one of the first people that I saw speak at a live event. You know, he was one of the first people to inspire me. And I saw that it was possible for a 20-something-year-old to achieve not just a high income, but to have such a huge impact on people. You know, money can be made, but influence is a different story. And so, you know, I really wanted to get him on today with us live and to speak with some of you guys live as well. And for some of you guys who are going to be watching and listening on replay, I'm very excited for you guys to hear from Jordan's story. You know, Jordan's amazing. He recently got married. Well, it's not even recent anymore. It's been a couple of years now.
Yeah,
it still feels so recent. So he's gotten married now. He's an amazing person. He has an amazing story as well. So I can't wait to share his story with all of you guys today. And, you know, he's come a long way. And he's inspired not just me, but I'm sure he's inspired thousands of people around the world. So Jordan, I want to ask you, if you could, to please share a little bit about your story, you know, and to inspire some of us and to share just the sort of challenges and places that you've come from as well yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to share my screen just so you guys can see this. Is that showing up okay?
Beautiful. Perfect.
So, Alan, thanks for having me. My USANA family down under, man, I have had some great trips to Australia. Alan and I were just chatting before we went live. I have been to Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane, pretty much the whole country, and I loved my time there. Maybe for some of you that are a little bit more new, I'd love to just kind of share my backstory, just so you know who's chatting with you tonight. But I'm calling in right now from Tampa, Florida. I'm originally from the Chicago area, and I have been involved in the network marketing space now 12 years. And it's crazy to think that much time has gone on. But I was basically on my way to medical school. I was introduced to USANA by a physician. He told me that he was trying to get out of medicine. I was trying to get into medicine. He introduced me to this thing called USANA. At the time, I thought it was crazy. But I think all of you guys probably joined USANA because you trusted the person that introduced you to it. And that was certainly the case for me. I trusted the person that introduced me. So fast forward, I started my journey. I built this really cool team of people. Some of them are pictured here. This is actually in Salt Lake. This is the One Body team. I've had some cool opportunities to be on stages like Eric Worre's GoPro stage. And what I'll share with you guys is that network marketing absolutely is not just about health benefits or even income benefits. It's really about personal growth and who you become in the process. And I think that's really what's most valuable. As Alan shared, I think my most proud moment was marrying my wife, Kristen. I'll share a little bit of our story tonight, but we do live in Tampa. This is our house that we purchased about 1.5 years ago. We love fishing. That was actually in Costa Rica. She reeled that fish in all by herself. And this is our dog, Ella. So just a little snapshot of what life looks like for us. So, Alan, maybe I know you've got some questions, but maybe I thought I could start off with just kind of asking some questions just to get things moving in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are in charge, my friend. So if you want to ask those questions, let's go for it.
So here's what I really want you guys to think about. And by all means, I've got my eyes on the chat box. If you guys have questions or you want to interact, feel free to make comments in the chat box as well. But let me ask you guys this question. What is success to you? And you can even comment in the chat box if you wish. What is success to you? And there's no doubt about it. I think we all are looking for shortcuts to success, right? I mean, why go this long, crazy route when somebody can just kind of give us the shortcut? So, you know, whether it's Grant Cardone or Brendan Bouchard or Jack Canfield or Napoleon Hill, I mean, we're either listening to podcasts, reading books, watching seminars, but we're all trying to figure out how to have more success. And I think success comes down to two things. It's either the pursuit of pleasure or the avoidance of pain. And Tony Robbins says that both of those are strong motivators. So maybe it's the cars, maybe it's the boats, maybe it's the travel, it's the experience, it's quality time with your family. Maybe for others, it's praise, it's recognition. Whatever success is to you, it's something that internally it motivates you to get to another level. But if you look at the actual raw definition of success, it is the attainment of wealth, favor, or eminence. And that really means fame. So if that's the definition of success, is it any surprise that these are the 4 people that show up when you type in success into a Google search? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Oprah, and Warren Buffett, right? These are like, arguably, according to Google, the 4 most successful people. Why? Because they're wealthy and they're famous. So if you think about success in the world's terms, that's what it is. Now, ask yourself, how many of you guys get a little envious, maybe a little jealous when you're poking around on Instagram and you're going through your feed and you start to recognize that maybe you're falling short in some areas? You're just not as good as so-and-so. You don't have the house that so-and-so has. You don't have the relationship that so-and-so has. I think Instagram and Facebook are trying to define what success is and what it will do for you. We think it'll make us happy if we have more, if we do more, if we have enough, then we'll be fulfilled. And I think back to when I started my business. I mean, for me, that was 12 years ago. For some of you, it was weeks, months, or years ago. But think back to when you originally started your career, right? Now, let's talk specifically about USANA. Like, what was it that made you actually put your credit card down and actually sign up in the business? I don't know what it was for you guys, but for me, it was that I didn't want to go to med school. I wanted control of my calendar. I wanted to be in control of my life. But most of the wants and needs initially really stem back to myself. If you think about it, it was changing my life that was the motivator for me. And personally, it wasn't until I figured out about a year and a half into the business that if you want to be successful in USANA, if you want to be successful in direct sales, it's not about you and your paycheck and your rank. It's about helping other people become successful. And as you help other people become successful, that's when you start to see success in your business. So this is where the genesis of this red key story comes in. And I kid you not, I'm actually holding it right now. I've got this in my office. You guys are going to love this. This picture that you guys are looking at, this is the actual red key. And let me just tell you real quickly what the red key story was. I was 13 years old. I was given a red key by my youth pastor, and the red key stood for sexual purity. It was a challenge to try and remain sexually pure. Now, whether you agree with that or not, it was a challenge that was given, and we had the opportunity to accept or reject the challenge. Now, if you think about what that challenge really implied, it was a long-term thinking about someone that you may not meet for many, many years down the road. So for whatever reason, I was 13. I thought, wow, that's really inspirational. Sure, I'll accept the challenge. So I took the red key home, and I actually put it in a place where only I knew where it was. And that is where that red key lived for 20 years. Now, fast forward. I could picture myself on the altar one day looking down that aisle and my wife coming towards me. I did not want to have any regrets in that moment. I did not want to think to myself, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that, or I wish I wouldn't have done this. I wanted zero regrets. And in fact, I also wanted to be able to meet with my future father-in-law and tell him that I honored his daughter, that I waited for him. These were things that I could picture down the road because I knew what I wanted most. Well, friends, I can tell you that on my wedding day, which was September of 2015, I gave that red key to my wife. And when I gave that red key and I saw her face, that's when I realized that the most potent commitments are the ones that we make on behalf of other people, even before we know who they are. Mm. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how does this apply to me, Jordan? Well, some of you are young, like I was, and maybe a red key commitment might look like sexual purity. But I think for most of you, a red key commitment is really a decision that is made on behalf of another person. It doesn't have to be sexual purity. It can be anything. It just means that you are thinking and doing on behalf of someone else. And so the reason I wrote Red Key Revolution is because I have achieved a lot of worldly success. Yes, he's got it right there. I've achieved trophies, college athletics. I've made millions of dollars in business. I've achieved what the world would say is success. But I can tell you right now that none of my personal achievements could compare to the significance of a teenage boy, a decision I made as a teenage boy to a woman I wouldn't meet for 20 years. That was my most significant, I believe, a decision that I made. And so here's how this really applies to all of us. Okay? If you think about the anatomy of a key, right? You've got the thick part, it's called the bow. The thin part's called the blade, and the blade is comprised of cuts. Now, keys unlock things, right? Tangible things like doors and houses, and intangible things like hearts and solutions. And if you think about the cuts on a key, if certain cuts aren't present, then the key doesn't work, right? So success is all about, you need to add more of this into your life. I think significance is about making cuts and taking things out of our life. We've got to remove what is ever not significant to make room for what is. And if you think about, I love Tony Robbins teaches this. He says the Latin root for the word incision is to cut. The same root for the word decision. Decision means to cut off from the possibility of anything other than what you've committed yourself to. So we've got to make a real decision. We've got to make cuts. And for sake of time, it's this evening here. I guess it's afternoon for you guys. I want to walk through just a couple of these cuts, just to kind of inspire you guys. The first is cut the selfie. And if you think about cut the selfie, I'm not saying that all selfies are bad, but every phone, right? You can either point the camera towards yourself or you can point the camera towards others. Those are your only two options. So where is your life camera pointed? Are you living life with this camera constantly pointed to yourself? Or are you just hitting the button and switch the lens, and now your lens is pointed towards others? I think for a large part of my life, probably the first half of my life, I felt like the camera was always pointed towards me. If you think about self-care, right? We all have good self-care habits, right? I mean, we take our vitamins, we drink water, we exercise, we meditate, we do things, right? But what's happened is our nation especially has made self-care a right. We've become a nation obsessed with self-care, almost to the degree that, like, you should do whatever makes you happy, right? Diet Coke commercials, exercise commercials. It's like, do you, girl, do your thing. Life is all about whatever makes you happy, do it. Well, you have to ask yourself, where does that come from? Like, and is that really what life is about? Well, if that's the case, then why are celebrities with tons of money, fame, and recognition committing suicide? Why are people that make lots of money, maybe they don't have a good relationship with their wife or their kids and they're unhappy? I think the original intent of self-care was actually to take care of ourselves so that we could better take care of others. I think that was the original intent. So let me explain this a little bit further, what I mean by this. Okay, you guys have all flown. Now I have a picture of Delta here. Maybe I should have done a Qantas flight for you guys. But if you think about this, there's a safety video that shows up when you get on the aircraft, right? And it says that in the event of an emergency, if oxygen masks come down from the ceiling, you are to put your own mask on and help yourself before you help those around you. Now, anybody with kids, if I was to ask you this question, if your 3-year-old son was sitting in the seat next to you and that oxygen mask came down, would you really make sure that your oxygen mask was on first before your 3-year-old son? Not a chance. Not a chance in the world. You would make sure that your 3-year-old had that mask on before you even got at all concerned about yourself. Mm-hmm. And that is because you delayed your gratification. You prioritize the needs of your son over your own priorities. That, my friends, is the highest aspiration. What if we could go about every day with that mindset of prioritizing those around us before we put our own oxygen mask on? That, my friends, in my opinion, is what real self-care is about. And Stanford did a really cool study back in the 1960s, and this is a video that I normally share, but you can't share a video on a live stream. But if you study the 1960s, it was called the marshmallow experiment. And the cool thing about this marshmallow experiment was that they took these kids and they said, look, if you can sit in here, we're going to give you a marshmallow. If you don't eat the first marshmallow for 15 minutes, we'll come back and then we'll give you a second marshmallow. Now, the video is hysterical because about half the kids, I mean, the second that person, the researcher, left the room, I mean, they couldn't sit there and stare at that marshmallow more than 15, 30 seconds, and they were starting to nibble on it, eat it. It's hysterical. But some of the children delayed their gratification, and they waited, and they ate the second marshmallow after the 15 minutes. Here's what was interesting. Those kids that waited 15 minutes for the promise of a second marshmallow, they followed those students for 25 years, and they had higher SAT scores, lower levels of substance abuse, lower likelihood of obesity, and better responses to stress. Now, I would pose this question. I think success comes down to your ability to, one, practice discipline, two, I think practice self-control, and three, master the art of patience for the promise of a bigger and better prize. However, if the stakes had changed, and what if the researcher had come in and told the children, hey, listen, if you can wait 15 minutes for the second marshmallow, we will give you a second marshmallow, but it's not for you. It's for you to give to a loved one. Do you think that if there was no promise of personal gain, these kids would have waited to eat that first marshmallow? I don't know. I don't know if that would have been enough of a motivation. But to me, that's what delayed gratification is about. A red key commitment, a red key decision is making a decision not so that you will benefit from it, but so that someone else will benefit from it. But what's so interesting is when you make decisions to benefit others, I believe it comes back to help you, but that's never your motivation. That's really delayed gratification. So here's a call to action for you guys. Here's a way in which you can take this from your head to your heart and actually apply it. I call it the hand section in the book. Just spend 30 days pointing your camera towards other people. Try it. 30 days. You're not allowed to post a selfie. You're not allowed to even be in the picture. Focus on who you have in your life, not what you have. I don't care how big your house is or what car you drive. Focus on the people in your life. Your second challenge is this. Every time you post, ask yourself this question. Will your followers be envious or will they be inspired? If the answer is inspired, it's probably a good post. If the answer is envious, probably not a good post. Be a person that's adding value through your social media, through your Snapchat, through your Instagram, etc. Okay? Here's the second cut. I'm moving quickly. Cut the DIY. You guys know what DIY means, right? Do it yourself. No great accomplishment in life is ever done alone. You guys know that. No business accolade, no sports, nothing great in life is ever done alone. So here's this really cool exercise. So I want you guys to do this real quick. Just grab a piece of paper or whatever you have in front of you. If you got your phone in front of you, that's great. I just want you to write down the two most successful people that you know. I told you what the definition of success was. Who are two people right now that you personally know? They're in your cell phone. I'm not talking about a stranger. I'm talking about two people that you know. Write down their names. Two successful people. Okay? You got your two people? Okay. Now, watch this. This is crazy. If you change the search engine from success to significant, now look who shows up in the feed. Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela. Now, are these successful people? Absolutely. But they are significant. I want you now on that same piece of paper to write down the two people in your life that inspire you to be significant. Who inspires you to be significant? Do you see the difference? You see, I've got a big, big, big list of people that are successful in my phone. But when you ask me who inspires me to be significant, I'm telling you, my list gets a lot smaller. And the person that's at the top of my list is actually my grandfather. His name is Harry Kahn. He's no longer with us. But Harry Kahn actually was a double PhD. He had a PhD in economics and engineering. He was the CEO and president of a large company in Rockford, Illinois called W.A. Whitney. He's got an incredible story. He retired at 57, went full-time into ministry, and he made an impact in a lot of lives. He passed away when I was 17 years old, and I will never forget his funeral. At his funeral, we had over 800 people there. Now think about that. Over 800 people came to his funeral. We had an open mic session at the front of the room. There were 2 microphones, and you could come in and talk about what Harry had done in your life. And 2 women came up to the mic. I'll never forget. One of them said, "None of you know who I am, but Harry paid for my son to go to college." And then another woman came up and said, "You know, I couldn't afford to pay for my daughter's prom dress, so Harry paid for it." And my family, we all looked at each other and we said, "Who the heck is that?" Like, we had no idea who these people were. And so what's interesting is when it comes to significance, who decides whether or not you're significant? You see, you are the decider of whether or not you're successful. But other people are the deciders of whether or not you're significant. If you're catching what I'm saying here, we should be aiming for significance. And when we're aiming for significance, we will stumble upon success. Because everybody that's significant is successful. But there are a lot of people that are successful that are not significant. I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying here. I want you to aim for significance. Because what aiming for significance means is you are adding value to other people's lives, and they decided that because of the value that you added to their life, you are significant. And I promise you that that is what is most worthwhile in life. So here's your call to action, okay? Number 1, you need to have the humility to realize that you can't do things by yourself. You need to have humility, and then you need to have confidence to ask for help. So identify where you're struggling with self-doubt, and then identify who you could ask to come alongside of you. And here might be something you'd consider saying. To have your belief would really take me to the next level. Have the confidence and the humility to be able to say that. And then the other call to action is to realize that you can empower another person to greatness. So who in your life could use an injection of your belief? And think about it. There are people that came alongside of me and they said, "Jordan, I believe in you. You can do this." I'll never forget, even from a USANA perspective, I was a bronze director. I'll never forget Lori Truman. She was the executive director of field development at that time. She called me and she poured her belief into me. And she told me that one day I was going to be a diamond director. I was a bronze director. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody. But that's a perfect example of somebody that came alongside of me and poured their belief into me. And today I'm a 3-star diamond director. She saw that. She believed it. Okay? So I got 2 more cuts for you. Cut the glory. So ask yourself this question. Who's on your pedestal? Who's on your pedestal? This is a friend of mine. His name's Remy Adeliki. He was a former Navy SEAL, and if you guys like the last Transformer movie that came out, he was in that movie. He was incredible. But this guy's got such an amazing story, and I interviewed him for the book. I asked him what it was like to go through Hell Week. And what's interesting about Hell Week, and this is Navy SEALs training, so here's a little history in case you don't understand what that is. You've got dozens and dozens, actually hundreds of people want to be Navy SEALs. So they come to Hell Week and they put individuals into a team-based program. So you become a part of a team. And every competition, every challenge is something that you do as a team. So one of the ways that they weed people out during Hell Week is not only because you can't survive, but it's also because you're trying to do things as an individual. If you try to do things as an individual, you can't survive Hell Week. You have to do it as a team. So anytime you interview a Navy SEAL, they never refer to themselves as an individual. They always refer to themselves based on what team they're a part of. I'm a part of SEAL Team 6. I'm a part of SEAL Team Delta. They refer to themselves as the SEAL team that they're a part of. Isn't that interesting? So think about it in sports. You got to define your victory by the success of your team. Like if you're a football player, American football player, I wanted to run faster, jump higher, lift more weights, not so that I could score more touchdowns, but so that I could put my team into a position to win. You've got to have that mindset. When it comes to USANA, now listen to me here for a second. I think I've won every award that USANA has to offer except for Distributor of the Year. Listen to me. I know some of you guys are like, well, wait a second. Let me explain myself here. I was a 6-time Growth 25 member. I was a Fortune 25 member. I won the President's Award, which is the fastest grower in the company. I have truly won, I think, every award that USANA has to offer. But there was a large part of my career where I was so committed to winning these awards and getting recognition that it became my highest aspiration. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of the fact that that was often my motivation. Don't make the same mistake that I did. When I was writing this book, I realized how important some of these trophies had become in my life. And I literally had them showcased in my office because I was so proud of all of these trophies that Jordan Kemper had won. It was like, look at me, look at all that I've done. That I decided, you know what? I don't want to be defined by trophies. I don't want to be defined by these sorts of status symbols. I want to be defined by the people that I've impacted. So I did this while I was writing the book. I collected all of my trophies and I threw them into the trash. Now, some of you guys are saying, you're nuts. Well, listen, I'm not telling you that you need to do that. I'm not telling anybody that they need to do that. I'm saying that this was a personal decision in my life that I didn't want the trophies to define who I was. I was proud of my accomplishments in USANA, but I didn't need the trophies to prove that. And David wants to have one of the trophies. I'm sorry, bro. You're going to have to go to the local dumpster in Tampa. So let's think about this from a monetary perspective. I couldn't see money in the beginning in a good way. And here's what I mean by that. How many of you guys have felt like you were taking advantage of other people when you would sell a product and you make money off of them? How many of you maybe that was a little bit of a struggle in the beginning? Like you were taking advantage of your friends. My sponsor really helped me to understand that you need to see a dollar bill as a certificate of helping another human being. And if you see it in that light, you are adding value to other people's lives. And when you add value to another person's life, you are going to receive a certificate of that. So I stopped seeing dollar bills as a status symbol. I stopped seeing dollar bills as trophies. And I started seeing dollar bills as certificates of helping other people. So the question I ask you is, how many certificates have you earned? It's a different way to think about money, isn't it? Some of the most successful people I know have a lot more certificates than I have. I want to earn more certificates because I want to have impacted more people. So here's your call to action, right? If it doesn't matter who's on the pedestal, then ask yourself, who are you helping that you will never get any credit for? I love what Danny Johnson says. She says, you'll be unusually successful when you don't care who gets the credit. Okay? Well, my last cut for you guys is cut the now. Cut the now. So, ask yourself this question every day. Will this decision matter in 5 years? Okay? Now think about that. If every decision that you make today is to set you up for a better tomorrow, you have long-term vision. So if your financial advisor says, hey, listen, I need you to give me $100 a month. And by giving me $100 a month, I can invest it. And you say, well, what am I going to see tomorrow? You're going to see anything. It's for your retirement. It's long-term thinking. If your personal trainer says, I need you to show up at the gym every day, you say, well, how much weight am I going to lose in the first 3 days? Well, you're not going to lose any weight. We've got this attitude that everything should come quick, like the internet comes quick and Instagram is quick. Everything's so fast that we've become this microwave culture where we want things quickly. You've got to start to think long-term. Will it matter in 5 years? So if you're a parent and you've come home after a long day of work and you kick your feet up and you're drinking your favorite drink and your kids want to come and spend time with you, you're saying, well, I kind of earned this opportunity to watch TV. I've had a long day of work. Well, think about this. Your kids want to spend time with you. What's the right thing to do? Well, do you want to have a healthy relationship with your kids, or do you really care about the latest episode of Grey's Anatomy? Right? Which one long-term is going to serve what you want most? So I want you to remember this quote. Never trade what you want most for what you want in the moment. Never trade what you want most for what you want in the moment. I don't like to show this picture, but actually just yesterday, I posted it on Facebook today, I lost a friend of mine and he passed away. He was just 35 years old. And the truth is that one day, all of us are going to be going in a casket just like this. Lord willing, it won't be when you're young. It'll be after a long, successful, and fruitful life, would be my hope. But the day is coming where you're going to be in this casket. And so a question you have to ask yourself is this. If you could measure your legacy, how would you do that? Like, I can measure a person's wealth based on the money that they have and the money that they leave behind. I can measure a person's body fat percentage. I can measure a person's lipid levels. Like, there's measurements when it comes to science and economics, but like, how do you measure legacy? Well, I think that you can. You measure legacy based on the people that are at your funeral. Now, if you think about this, this is long-term thinking. This is thinking about long after you're gone. Will you have a big funeral or a small one? Will people not show up because it's raining? Or did you add so much value to people's lives that they will travel multiple nations, that they'll travel 25 hours to get to your funeral, and they'll do whatever they have to do to be there because of the impact you made on their life? You see, friends, I want you to start thinking about legacy. I want you to start thinking about how much value have you added to other people's lives? How significant were you to other people? These are the questions that determine the legacy that lives on long after you're gone. So here's my call to action for you. When it comes to cutting the now, your call to action, your hand section, is to list 3 personal values or traits that you hope are said about you during your eulogy. I want you to write those down real quick, at least one. What's a personal value or trait that you hope somebody else says about you? And I'll give you guys just about 15 seconds as you think about that. Victoria, I saw your question. I'll address that in a moment. So this is what I want you guys, as I'm kind of wrapping up here, this is what I want you to think about. Every single day, you make 35,000 choices. 35,000 choices. You're like, no, not that many. No, truly, 35,000 choices. Some of those are conscious. Some of those are subconscious. But like, I'm talking about how long you're going to brush your teeth, to do you want salt and pepper on your lunch, to am I going to pick up my phone right now, or am I going to pick it up later? Am I going to take this call? Am I not going to take this call? Am I going to reply to this email? Before you know it, literally 35,000 choices a day. Truett Cathy is the founder of Chick-fil-A. It's a very successful franchise here in the States. And he says that the three biggest decisions that you make in life come down to these three. Who's my master? What's my mission? And who's my mate? You've got one option when it comes to master. I personally believe that you can either serve God or you can serve yourself. When it comes to your mission, do you have a personal mission statement? My mission statement is to love God and love others more effectively. And then who's your mate? In other words, now you Australians probably think of mate differently than I do. But mate here is your spouse. Who are you going to share this beautiful life with? If you can get these three questions figured out and you can commit to deciding in these three areas, it makes the rest of your decisions that much easier. Who's your master? Who's your mission? What's my mission and who's my mate? And I'll take some questions from you guys, but I wanted to just share that, like, I've given you guys like a 30,000 foot view of what I try to teach in this book. But inside of the book, I go into stories and examples and practical examples of each of these cuts so that you can unlock more significance in your life. The other thing that we've done is I would love for each of you guys to consider getting your own red key. And the reason I want you to have a red key is not because I just want you to commit to sexual purity. Yeah, there's Alan's there. I love it. I want you to make a decision on behalf of another person, but you get to decide what that commitment is. Maybe it's a commitment to your kids. Maybe it's a commitment to your business. Maybe it's a commitment to your future spouse. I don't want to tell you what your commitment is, but a commitment that is made on behalf of another person. And then you've got a tangible reminder every day that you can hold in your hand of what that commitment actually is. One other thing to consider is if that commitment involves another person that you already know, what you can do is you can communicate to that person what your commitment is and actually give them your red key. I had a father actually tell me that he doesn't spend enough time with his son. So he promised his son that he would attend one baseball game every single week and that he would commit to being home by 6 o'clock every night so that he could spend quality time with his son. He gave his son the red key, and his son has permission to hold him accountable to that commitment. And if his dad doesn't stay through with that commitment, his son can give the red key back. Could you imagine that father getting that red key back? I'll tell you right now, I don't want that red key back. I would want to hold to that commitment. And so that's really what it's about. And you guys, if you go to redkeyrevolution.com, you can get the book, you can get the key, and then we've also put a bundle together where Kristen and I, my wife, we actually teach a 7-week e-course where we take you through each cut, and you can watch us in an interactive video, and then we've got a course guide that goes with it. But that's called Unlock Significance, and it's an e-course. So all of this is at redkeyrevolution.com. And every single purchase that's made off of that site gives me the ability through my foundation to go and give red keys to teenage boys and girls. And we're trying to empower the next generation to understand the choices that they can make, and hopes that just like I was given a red key when I was 13, it changed the trajectory of my life. And so that's what the Red Key Foundation is about helping the next generation. So, Alan, I'd love to take some questions or maybe stick around and chat a little bit more about some of these topics. But thanks for giving me the opportunity to share from the heart tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jordan, for your time. I mean, I think everyone in this Zoom right now, everyone in this webinar right now is definitely getting so much value. I mean, thank you so much for your time. I'd like to say for first, and I'd like to acknowledge you for all you have given us and all you have, shared with us. So thank you so much, Jordan. You're an amazing inspiration. You're one of my first mentors and one of my first idols, not just in the business world, but as a person as well. So I'd like to, first off say thank you. And then from there, let's go into some questions. I'm sure everyone is eager to ask some questions. So if anyone has any questions, please type them out into the Zoom group chat. And I'm sure Jordan would like to, give you guys some of the time if he can. It is going to get quite late over where he is right now. So we do really appreciate every minute he's spending with us. So we have one from Cece. which is USANA specific. But before we get on to everyone else's questions, my questions first. So how do we stay motivated in terms of yourself? How did you stay motivated for the long-term goal? I know a lot of us Gen Ys, and you yourself as still technically a Gen Y as well. How do we stay motivated? Because seeing things in the long term, the long perspective, like you said, what I do today impact me in 5 years' time? A lot of us, we struggle to see that. We need things now. If I don't make the sale now, I've lost money. If I don't sign up an associate now, I don't have my team growing. If I don't make that sale now, no one gets their life changed. I don't get the certificate. And how do you stay motivated in terms of that long-term goal, Jordan? What did you do?
That's a really good question. So I believe it's three parts: the head, heart, hands, right? So head is understanding. You've got to understand what you want most. You've got to clearly define on paper what it is that you want. For me, it was a healthy marriage. It was a healthy relationship with my wife. It was trust. It was being an example for my kids. Like, those are things that you can't get back. So in my opinion, that was what I wanted when it came to relationships. So here's the three areas that I think you guys need to consider tonight. What is it you want most when it comes to your health? What do you want most when it comes to your career, your business? And what do you want most when it comes to your relationships? Those are the three areas you've got to think about what you want. Once you know what it is that you want, now you need a couple of things. Number one, you need a plan. You need a strategy on how you're going to accomplish your goal. Number two, I think you need an environment. You need to put yourself around people that are going to help you progress towards what it is your goal is. And then three, I think you need accountability. I think everybody, I don't care how strong you are or what sort of willpower you have, you need to have accountability in your life. And so I have a personal training degree. I literally am certified to be a personal trainer, but I hired a personal trainer. Why would I do that? It's not because I don't know what to do or how to work out. It's because I need those three things too. I need a plan. I want to be in the right environment, and I want accountability. So it's amazing how I'm able to progress towards my goals at a faster, more rapid rate, literally taking a shortcut to where I want to go. And I think, to me, that is the right motivation. And then if you think about it, once you've got that plan in motion, you've got to really protect what I call the input. You got to protect what's going into your mind. Because if you're watching people on Facebook or watching people on Instagram and they're getting results faster or quicker, or it's hard to sometimes in your mind perceive what is and isn't realistic. And so I don't follow a lot of people on Facebook or Instagram that I don't believe are really authentic and true to themselves. And they paint a picture that I think is unrealistic. And so really be careful about what you put into your mind, because input will equal output.
Wow, that's beautiful, because I think for my culture, we grew up with Instagram and Facebook, and literally as soon as you open the newsfeed, it doesn't matter when I open up the newsfeed, I'm going to straight away see someone, my nice car, I just achieved this, I've got all this money, I'm traveling, la, 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 la. But for most people, it's not even possible. So, I think what we put into our minds as well is so important, because we are so influenced. And again, like you said before, are you going to have that significance when you're posting? Are you inspiring someone, or are they envious, right? And I think a lot of people out there are not inspiring people. They're creating envious people in us. And that makes us, judge ourselves, and not just judge ourselves, but we create a little bit of a disbelief in ourselves. So that's really amazing advice. Thank you so much for that, Jordan. One more question from my end before we go on to everyone else. I want to talk a little bit about the USANA side of things, if I can. I want to ask you, you've been in USANA now for, I think it was 12 years, right? How has USANA allowed you to pursue more significance in your life? How has USANA as a platform given you the ability? You've already thrown out your trophies, so everyone's already crying over that. But how has USANA as a platform allowed you to achieve everything you've achieved so far, and allowed you to get to where you are today?
That's such a good question. So let me just say this. When we talk about significant people, I think Dr. Wentz is someone that is significant. I think he has the right heart and the right motivation. And although he's worth over $1 billion, I think he is as successful as he is because of the impact he's wanted to make in other people's lives. So I was attracted to the story of Dr. Wentz and who he was. And that gave me a lot of confidence, conviction, and integrity when trying to build a USANA business. So I think that's number one, was I wanted to align myself with a company that was congruent to what I believed was right. Number two, I mean, health is a huge priority and should be to all of us. And so I think USANA understands long-term health and longevity. They're not looking for this quick fix, lose some weight, quick fix, get some energy, bulk up. They're really interested in longevity. So I think they've got significance in mind when it comes to health. I think when it comes to business, because of the passive income that I've been able to establish through USANA, that has funded all of the projects that I've done. Friends, writing a book, getting it published, marketing it, that is an expensive thing to do. I could not have done that were it not for USANA. Some of the other entrepreneurial projects that I've done outside of network marketing, USANA allowed me to do that. So I can't tell you guys like the freedom and the flexibility that USANA has given me because of what because of what I built. The other thing is we talk about helping other people become successful, adding value to people's lives. The USANA business model actually caters to that mindset. You've got to help your customers and your associates be successful. And if you do that, you'll be successful. If you're not doing that, you won't be successful. So I think there are so many parallels between this message of aiming and pursuing significance that USANA, I think, really opens up the door and allows you to pursue significance in your life. And I think that pursuing USANA, both in your health and as a business, as a career, I think are significant choices. So I really applaud all of you guys for doing that.
That's awesome. Thank you for that, Jordan. I mean, it's definitely something that's changed my life. I can see it's definitely impacted your life. It's such a powerful platform for people to, choose, use. And the vision, like you said yourself, Dr. Myron Wentz is a man of significance. It doesn't matter what money he has or what he's worth. He has made a huge change on this world. Like, I think no one will forget who he is. So let's refer back to Victoria's question about significance and Tony Robbins. And she asked, will you get significance if you never get credit for it?
So she's referring to the 6 primal needs. So I like my Tony Robbins fans here. So here's your history lesson, y'all. So the 6 needs that Tony teaches, certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance and importance, growth, and contribution. So you're referring to significance and importance. And I think what Tony was teaching in that is that we want some level of recognition from our peers. What I would tell you is this. I don't think you should make decisions for recognition. I don't think you should make decisions so that you get applause. I think you should make decisions because it's the right thing to do. And as a result of doing the right thing, I believe the praise, recognition, significance, and importance will come. But I don't think that that should be your motivation. Because if you're doing it for the motivation of praise and recognition, I think that that is your praise and recognition. I think that the purity of heart, doing something for the right reason, is doing it not because of what you'll get in return, but because it's the right thing to do. So that's a great question.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yes, I recently just went through and saw Tony Robbins' 6 primal instincts as well, and it's like it's amazing for you to put it in that perspective. It really helps us see that as well. So that's really good. So thank you for that, Jordan. I hope, Victoria, that helps you as well. Now we have another question from Cece, which is another USANA specific questions. And she asked, what are the 5 things you did differently in your second year of business compared to your first year of business that really changed your business? Because I remember, I don't know if you remember this as well, during the Boom Roadshow where you put up your little income chart thing and then everyone saw that. That opened my eyes. I was like, oh my God, I've made more money than Jordan has in his first year as well. I've been around for 2 months at this stage. And I'm like, I can do it too. So that's what really inspired me. So what did you do differently from first year to second year? What changed and really took your business to the next level?
Okay, a couple things. Number one, so just so you guys know, I made $600 in my first 6 months. And in the next year, I started making about $1,000 a month, give or take. So about 11,000 is what I made in my my second year in USANA. And then the year after that, that's when it started to jump. And so I made my first 6 figures at age 24 through USANA. So here's what I would say. Here's the things I did differently. Number one, I started attending events. That was a big one for me. Can't do it alone. Can't do it by yourself. Got to attend events. Number two, I started to do personal development every day. It was like exercising a muscle. If you don't exercise the muscle, it's not going to grow. So I every day started to do personal development. Number three, I started to figure out ways I could add value to other people's lives. I'm not talking about just transactional, like, hey, I've got this product that's going to make you healthier. Like, I tried to figure out ways that I could actually add value to people's lives beyond the products. Number four, I started to duplicate. I was not duplicatable in the beginning. I mean, I was energetic, excitable. I was talking to everybody. I give these great sales pitches and newspaper presentations. And it was like I was a machine gun out there just talking to everybody I could talk to, but like no duplication whatsoever in my business. I think that was a grave mistake. And then lastly is I started to promote events. You've got to bring people with you to the events. Listen to me right now. Listen to me. If you want to be successful with USANA, the person with the most team members at your USANA events is the one who's making the most money. I'm just telling you, there's no doubt about it. When I look at Amy Shin and Bob Lynn and some of these people, they have hundreds, if not thousands of people from their teams at the events. So think about that. They're promoting events, but they're pouring into the development of their team. They're like investing in the development of their team. And then their team members are becoming independent of their leader. I can't tell you how important that is. You do not want to be the gatekeeper and be the one who determines whether or not your team is successful. You want to be in the back of the room admiring your leaders who are stepping up into their own leadership and becoming successful in USANA without you. And the control freaks and these people who don't want to give up the microphone are the ones who I promise are going to be really frustrated because they're not getting duplication in the business. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit of perspective, but those are some shifts that I made and I'm still making to really make sure that my team and my organization and our company is going in the right direction.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Jordan. I mean, I've applied a lot of those 5 key things you've just spoken about to my business as well. This is my, I'm just into about my 14th month of full-time business, no other full-time job outside of USANA. And just making those shifts as well. I've seen my income, multiply, if not 10 times since when I started last year. So it's been quite amazing to see that all it takes is a little bit of a shift. Like you said, make that decision. And then you can start to really implement and create a lot of growth in your business. So we have a few more questions firing in now. We won't keep you for too much longer, I hope. Let's see. We'll give you about another 10 minutes. So that way you can go to sleep. We won't keep you up for too late. Let's go for the first one. Victoria's asked another question. How much more time did you have to spend to make this jump through? I think, Victoria, I'm not sure if it's specific to Jordan's first and second or third year of business, if it's in relation to that. But if it is in relation to Jordan's first and third year of business, where he went from $600 a year to 6 figures of a year, if it's in that regard, let's get Jordan to answer that first. So yeah.
So I just don't quote me on this, but I think if I remember that chart, I made $600 in my first 6 months. So I started in July. So that was from July to December. From January to the end of December, I made $11,000. And then from the next January to December, I made $33,000. And then the next January to December, I made $135,000. I jumped $100,000 in 1 year. The next year I jumped $130,000. The next year I jumped over $160,000. Every year after that, I jumped multiple 6 figures. So here's what I tell you guys. The journey of self-development never stops. And I'll tell you right now that the way you build a business in 2018 is dramatically different than when I was building in 2007 to 2015. So just understand that we as leaders constantly have to be evolving. A company has to constantly be evolving. So yes, just keep growing, keep working on yourself, and stay relevant if you want to be successful in this business.
Wow, thank you for that. Next one from Kate Neary is: do you have moments when you feel like you are getting off track, and how do you get back on track, and how long do you usually take to get back that energy again? That's a great question. I think that's an awesome question.
So I'm going to read this right off the back of the book. It says, have you or someone you know ever stood at a crossroads or been at a pivotal moment in life and wondered which way you should go? Remember, we can all start over. Listen to me. We can all start over. I have to hit the reset button all the time. And I'm not just talking about resetting my health. I'm talking about resetting in lots of ways. We are like going along and things are going well, and all of a sudden we just get off track. We've got to get back on the on-ramp and try to get going in the right direction. Here's the most successful people are not the ones that don't get off track. I think the most successful people are the ones that can recognize they're off track and get quickly back on the highway. So please understand that, like, I'm no different than anyone. I've got to really mentally focus to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction. And I've got to be doing personal development, listening, have accountability, have mentors, have people that are speaking into my life that can help me move in the right direction. Make sure that your friends are wealthier than you are. Make sure that your friends are in better shape than you are. I tell you, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably not making very much money. You've got to surround yourself with people that are better than you. So I'm telling you, I'm in a Bible study on Thursday mornings. I am the least successful person in the whole group. And so I love it because these men inspire me to be better. So all of us can apply that to our lives.
That's awesome. They say you're the average of the 5 closest people you spend your time with, right? And so that's such an important, critical factor in that. Next one's from Zahab Ashraf, who is he's a Gen Y, one of my Gen Y leaders in my team. So what should we focus on when trying to build a quality Gen Y team? This is a big question, especially in the USANA world right now. What is the focus that we need to do or to have?
So here's the thing you Gen Yers have to figure out. Gen Y is going to build on social media, and I love that because it's you can scale the fastest. But here's the mistake that the Gen Yers are making. They're not figuring out how to take the relationships offline and build community. The baby boomers, they only build community. They don't understand social media. And then you've got the Gen Yers who only understand social media and don't understand community. You got to bridge the gap. So you guys have got to figure out ways of reaching more people, get your Facebook groups and all of that going to build virtual community. And then you've got to figure out ways to get people together and build community because we need relationships. We need to hug each other. We need to shake hands. We need to high five. We need vulnerability and sharing stories of our past and our experiences. And you've got to figure out ways to build that community. USANA is a great product, good compensation plan, but I'm telling you what people want most in their life is community. So you've got to figure out how Gen Yers can build community, and you've got to be strategic in how you do that.
That's a great answer. Great answer. Something I'm trying to implement with my team all the time. Now, another one from CC is: what strategy do you use to get your team to events? Good one.
So with everything, you just got to have a plan. You got to have a strategy. So, I mean, you think about the way the USANA compensation plan is designed. You got 4 legs, right? So if you're just brand new to the business, you've got to figure out a way of how can I get one person on each of my 4 legs to the next USANA event. And then if you scale that, if the people you bring on board are each trying to get 4 people to an event, well, now you went from 4 to 20. You got your 4 and their 4, and now you got 16 plus 4, that's 20. So what's happening is you're setting goals, and maybe you come up with campaigns, maybe giveaways, maybe prizes. Maybe you make it fun, some sort of an incentive-driven way of getting excitement. But you've got to figure out a strategy, and then you need to have metrics for trying to measure how many people are with you at an event. And at one convention, my best year in USANA, I finished number 19 in the world in income, I think I had 800 people at convention.
Wow. Amazing.
So you don't get that many people to convention by accident. Everybody's got to have a strategic plan to getting people to events. So for you guys, it may be a Sydney event, maybe it's the Melbourne event, maybe it's the national celebration. You've got to have quarterly events, and then you've got to have your international event, which for you guys is probably Asia Pacific. So just have your strategies in motion for how you're getting people to events.
That's awesome. I'm going to cut off the questions after we have, I think, about 3 questions left. We will try to cut them off after those 3. And so everyone's too excited. So we have another one now, which is, what 3 values do you believe a person should have to build to have a life of significance, and why are they important to you? What are the 3 main values that that you build on?
Man, that's a tough one. I don't know if these would be in any particular order, but I would say for me, number 1 is faith. I believe, everybody's got maybe their own belief system, but for me personally, I believe in the next life. I believe that I was created by God and created for a purpose. And so I choose to believe that I have faith in God. So faith is big for me. I would say number 2 is integrity. Are you a person of integrity? Who are you when no one's watching? And then I think in today's age, I think you need to be humble. I think you really need to have humility. So those are 3 of my favorites, but I can tell you, like, every day, one of the things I'm praying for are the fruit of the Spirit. If you read Galatians 5:22, it talks about the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Like, these are things that I try to live, and I want my life to bear those fruits so that when somebody is in my company, they feel those fruits of the Spirit. So hard to limit it to 3, but those are probably the ones that come to my mind first.
Well, those are powerful as it is. So thank you for that. Next one's from David Bolton. So one question he has is, how do you recover after a big business dip? Because we all have ups and downs in any business. So how do you recollect yourself, realign, and how do you, change and grow from that?
Yeah. So, I'm just going to give a plug for 2 other books here. Blue Ocean Strategy and Blue Ocean Shift. I didn't write these books, so get Red Key Revolution first. But no, I'm kidding. I love those books because that's exactly what it talks about. I'll just tell you guys that, like, I had this unbelievable year of growth in USANA, and then my next year I had a really bad year, and I got into what I called management mode. And I got away from a lot of the income producing activities. So I had to go back to the basics and really identify what was working, what's now not working, and what do I need to be relevant in the next year. And I was flat at Ruby. In fact, I went to convention that year and somebody said, "Jordan, I didn't see you on stage once. Did you take the year off?" And I was like, "No, I didn't take the year off. I worked really hard, but I wasn't doing it the right way." And so what I ended up determining that next year is how to improve. And I skipped Emerald, went straight to Diamond. Wow. And that was the year that I ended up hitting President's Award, which is the fastest grower in the company. So I'll just tell you guys that after one of my worst years in USANA, I had arguably one of the best years.
Wow.
The following year. So forget your losses and forget your wins and keep moving forward.
Wow, I like that. That's awesome. I love that. Forget your losses, forget your wins, keep moving forward, guys. That is awesome. I'm just trying to scroll down the messages, seeing what is left. We've actually got 2 left. So one's from Matt and one's from Rachel. Matt's one is, how did you change your mindset of a salesperson to one that is focused on adding value? Now, I think that's a great one too.
Yeah, so the marketplace pays for value, right? So if you think about it, like, why does a doctor make the money that a doctor makes? Well, that's because they went to medical school for 4+ years and they gained skills that the average person doesn't have, and they can add that skill to the marketplace, right? So when you think about what skills we need to have in network marketing, it's people skills. If you are not good with people, you will not make any money. So work on your people skills. And I think Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is another option for how can you add value to people. I'm constantly figuring out, what can I do to make this person's life better? That's the question you have to ask yourself. See, if you come at a person, you go, well, I have a health pack and I have these vitamins and they'll give you optimal health. See, you're thinking that what you have to offer is going to make their life better. When that person, the only thing that they can think about is that they're $30,000 in debt, that they have a sick kid in the hospital, and that they're losing their marriage. And you think that they want vitamins. No. You need to figure out, hey, listen, I can introduce you to this doctor, or hey, I know this person in finances, and maybe they could help you budget a little bit better. Or, hey, listen, you're looking for a house. I know a real estate agent. Like, I'm constantly trying to figure out, what can I do to make this person's life better? And the answer is not always USANA. It's take time, ask questions, figure out what their pain points are, and then be a person that can add value to their life. And again, this goes back to Dani Johnson. She says, be a connector. There's a high value for being a connector. If a person needs something, are you the person that they go to? I'm one of those people. If people need something, they go to me, because they know that maybe I can't fix their problem, but I can connect them to someone who can help them. So have that mindset for being the connector. Be the go-to person that people go to when they need help.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that concept. Wow, that's amazing. So that's fantastic. Now, we got one last one to finish it off from Rachel, which is, have you had to deal with the criticism of the network marketing industry conflicting with the values of being a Christian? And if so, what did you tell those who are critiquing you? This is always going to happen. Yeah.
So this is a great question. When you signed up for USANA Business, what is the one thing that everybody told you? They said that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You've heard it said that you're an independent business owner. You're not an employee. You build your business the way you want to build your business. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So I chose not to go to medical school. I chose not to be an employee. I chose not to work for somebody else, because I wanted to have control over the way I ran and operated my business. So I decided that Christianity, that loving Jesus, is the most important thing in the world to me. So I am going to infuse my faith into the way in which I build my business. Now, that's my business. It's not your business. You get to build your business however you want to build your business. But I get to choose how I'm going to build my business. And I'll tell you, when it comes to marketing 101, there's actually genius behind this, because you want to attract the right people and repel the wrong people. See, most people make the mistake of trying to attract everyone. You got to figure out your niche. Your customer avatar is what Marie Forleo calls it. Your ideal team member. And I knew that I wanted to attract people that had faith, that were faith-based people, that character, integrity, family values, these types of things were already infused into their lifestyle. And if those were things that they believed in, then I thought we would probably mesh a little bit better and we would be a better team. Now, it's not to say that you're a bad person if you disagree with me. It just means that I'm probably not going to provide the right team culture that you're looking for. So when it comes to my faith, I am unashamed about the fact that I love Jesus. And I will tell that to anybody at any time on any stage. And I even qualify when people ask me to speak on their stages that, listen, I just want you to know that I am unashamed about talking about my faith. And if that offends you, then please don't have me on your stage. And I told that to Eric Worre. I've told that to John Maxwell. I've told that to stages that I've been on. And again, it's not that I'm trying to offend people. It's that these are my values and my beliefs, and I will respect your values and your beliefs. but I encourage all of you to decide what is important to you and make sure that you infuse that into your business so that you can be congruent with your team and with your customers, and don't be somebody you're not. And Gary Vaynerchuk says the same thing. He just says it with a lot of F words behind it. But he tells you to be true to yourself. And I believe that I've always been true to myself in my business. And if you don't like me or you don't like what I have to offer, then I will happily encourage you to find another distributor, and I can probably point you in the right direction.
That is beautiful. Always stay true to yourself, and respect is a two-way street. So that's unbelievable. And I always say that to my distributors as well, is to have that posture. Know your worth, know your value, and know who you stand for, and know what you stand for. Don't allow other people's perspectives of you to dictate your life. So, thank you for that as well. That's awesome. And I have a few comments here. I think Zohaib just bought your book as well. He's just gone online and bought your book. I was actually about to ask you, you've got this awesome book here. I also bought the audio book yesterday as well to listen in my car. So now I have not just the audio, I can hear your voice every single day, but I can read your words every single day. So the question is, for everyone who is watching today, how can they get a copy of this book? How can they, jump into the e-course as well? And if they want the audio book, where can they go and get it? And also, to get one of these keys, where can people go to get one of these as well?
So you guys, it would mean so much to me. You would support the Red Key Foundation if you would go to redkeyrevolution.com. That's the only place that you can access the book, the key, and the e-course. All three of those, we've got a bundle. It's redkeyrevolution.com. I was told that this book is available in Booktopia, which I guess is like the Barnes & Noble of Australia.
Yep.
And the book's also available via Kindle and audiobook on Amazon, iBook, all of those different platforms. So if one of those is easier for you, by all means, go that direction. But it'd mean a lot if you guys go to redkeyrevolution.com and consider that bundle. And then I've also created a Facebook group. I'll send that to Alan. It's a free group. Anybody that has read the book or is interested in the book, it's a great resource. You can kind of hear and learn from other people that are going through the materials. But you can search for Red Key Revolution, and we've got a Facebook group as well. So I would love to hear stories of your aha moments, how the book's impacting you. And then for all of you that have gone through the book or are going through the book, it would mean so much to me if you'd take just 1 minute and leave an Amazon review. My publisher said that that's really, really important. It helps me to spread the reach of the book and get the book into hands of people that don't know who I am or about the book. So if you guys would take some time to do that, that would mean the world to me.
Thank you for that, Jordan. I mean, everyone here today can see the value that Jordan has to give us. Go check out his book, guys. Leave him an Amazon review as well. It is definitely good. I'm about to flip over after this webinar and go and leave him a review because I'm pretty much done with the book as well. It's an amazing read, guys. It's not even that thick as well, which means you can get through it if you're a good reader in a day. So if you're a good reader, get through it in a day. And the audiobook is about 2.5 hours long. So you can definitely listen to it in a car trip. For those of us in Sydney, driving to the Sydney corporate office, you can probably finish that in a car trip there and back. So it's a great read. The Amazon link, actually, I have Alan Ewan just pop the Amazon link down into the comments already for you. So if you guys want to purchase Jordan's book, please go and visit it.
And I'm going to tell you guys one more thing. You guys got to tell Jeff Watt to bring Kristen and I back so we can do another event in Australia. Corporate wants to know who the field likes. And if you guys share with corporate that you want us to come back, we'd love to plan another trip down under so that we can see you guys and help you guys to be more successful in your businesses. So as we kind of wrap up tonight, this is what I want to challenge you guys to do. I want you to think of those 3 areas: health, your business, and your relationships. And write down just one commitment in each of those 3 areas that you can make and apply over these next 30 days. Just one commitment in each of those 3 areas. And then I want you guys to be mindful about pursuing significance in your life. Not just success, but pursuing significance. And I promise that if you do that, you will build a legacy. You will chase success that matters and success that lasts. And I think you'll have real fulfillment in your hearts. So I love you guys. It's about 10:15 p.m. in Florida. So Alan, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I just love the USANA family, and I love always having the chance to connect with you guys. So thanks for being with me tonight.
No worries. Thank you so much for your time, Jordan. We appreciate you so much. Once again, guys, go pick up Jordan's book. You're going to love the read. He has some awesome stories in here. And once again, I'm sure everyone on this live and everyone here really appreciates your time. So thank you so much, Jordan. We'd love to see you in good health. We'd love to hear all about your stories, and keep us posted on Facebook. So everyone, please go pick up a copy of Jordan's book. Jump into his Facebook group. We're going to let Jordan go off to bed now, and we'll see you guys on the other side.